Hello, hello, and welcome. This is Beverly Fells Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness. I am an author, speaker, seminar leader, trainer, and just a person that loves to share information with you. Now, normally on this show, I am talking about your thought process and expanding that world of thought and the world of positive thinking. Well, today is going to be a little different. I'm going to expand your world of thought, but about something that you can do to save someone's life. And today I'm going to be interviewing a friend of mine of many years about her experience in being in a database for bone marrow and stem cells. Now, don't click me off because this is something you may not understand or may not have heard of, and it is very easy to do. So, I'm just going to click off from this point and I am going to bring them in the interview that I did with my friend and Christopher. So, let's get started. Hello, everyone. This is Beverly Fells Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness, and today I have a wonderful, different kind of interview that I felt that you really needed to hear. And I want to introduce you to one of my best friends in the world of almost 30 years, and her name is Farrish Christopher. And we met at IBM, and she was my manager, so I had to behave. So anyway, but what we want to share with you today is something that I want to encourage all of you to look into, and that is to be the match. Be the match to help people who are in a situation where they need help in order to get healthy, and you know how I am about getting healthy, um, to help them survive a catastrophic illness. So, Anne, let's talk about Be the Match.
Okay.
All right. But before we do that, let's talk about you and your match.
hmm
So, all right. So let's talk about how'd you come together.
Uh, this is Dorothy Johnson.
Hey everybody.
Dorothy and I are meeting today for the first time. 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, Dorothy was in need of a match for stem cell donation. And I was the person who matched with her in the Be the Match database. I did not know whether she had survived. I wondered often how you were doing. And a few months ago, she called me after getting permission to contact me. And here we are, having arranged this get together and meeting so that we could get to know each other and just really build on this relationship that we've already started to develop.
Okay. So let's talk about you came together, and this is the first time you're meeting.
Yes.
But what was it that got you together in this Be the Match thing, right? So what was it that you needed, Dorothy? What was going on with you that you needed some assistance with?
Well, in 2016, I had been diagnosed with large cell lymphoma leukemia.
Okay, so
And
so there are different forms of
there's
leukemia.
different forms of
Okay,
leukemia,
so
and that
but in this
particular
case
one,
it was, okay.
it was large cell lymphoma leukemia. And I had went through 8 months of chemo, radiation, and all types of tests. And nearing the end of it, they had told me that my cancer was so severe and the chemo that they had given me was so strong that if the cancer had came back, it wasn't anything else that they would be able to um, give me. So they suggested a bone marrow transplant
Okay.
or a stem cell transplant.
So most of you have heard of bone marrow transplants over the years, and stem cells have come back or come out very strong, and it's being used for a number of things now, right? And so their suggestion to you was to get the stem cell?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
so that takes us to the point about, so what's a bone marrow and what's a stem cell? All right, so Anne?
I am not a physician,
No.
so I don't represent being an expert on this. Um, Probably in common terms, there's surgical and non-surgical. Bone marrow is an extraction using, I guess you could call it a needle, through the back, and the
Through,
liquid
through the hip. I
through.
had one. When they
The
pulled
pelvic bone,
the
yes.
back in it, yeah, back
Through the
here,
pelvic
and
bone,
he had to go
yes.
get a different needle because he said your
Yes.
bone marrow was really tough.
Yeah,
So
so it's
Mhm.
liquid marrow at that
yes.
point, and that extraction is done with the donor being sedated at the time. A stem cell donation is done by having one vein tapped into here, one here. The blood is drawn, and then the stem cells separated using a machine. So it's a non-surgical procedure done usually in a place commonly known for blood donations and other treatments, i.e. Carter Blood Care is one.
Okay. Well, something
And
just
it's where
came.
I went
Okay,
for
Carter.
this.
Okay.
And this stem cells are collected in a bag
Mm-hmm.
and then taken wherever the recipient, in this case Dorothy,
Mhm.
will receive those stem cells.
So when they're pulling your, now you said in both sides, they're pulling your blood. Are they taking it out one side and
Yes.
putting it back in on the other?
It's taken out, it goes through a machine where
machine.
it's separated
Mhm.
to get the stem cells, and then, yes, it goes back in.
Okay. So was it painful?
It was not painful.
Okay, that's important.
It was not
right?
painful.
Mhm.
Probably if you're a little needle shy, the prick of actually getting it started is probably the worst that I experienced, and it really was just that, a prick. I was able to use one hand on my laptop. I could read books the whole time
So
that
you
I
were
was there.
relaxed.
And I have to say, I was monitored by a physician and an assistant the entire time.
Okay.
So it was not, it was a good experience. I was just sitting there watching the machine do its thing.
Okay. So that's all good, but how did you wind up at Beat a Match in the first place?
Me?
Yes.
Years ago, there was an individual at the company where I worked who needed a donation. She needed a stem cell or bone marrow to survive leukemia. Someone did a drive. A lot of us came forward, put our name in there. At that time, they drew blood. Today, if you want to join, you register, and then you get a kit, do a cheek swab, and send it back. Back then, it was a blood draw, because this was almost 15 or over 15 years ago. And that's how I came to be a part of the database. Every year, I would get an email saying, hey, are you still in? Let's update your information, and I would do that. So I was quite excited and overwhelmed at the same time when I got the call saying, you have a match.
Okay. So it's the idea that you're going into a database, and you got there because somebody had a drive,
Yes.
right? And my question is, are there drives going on just all the time, or do they wind up because somebody's in need?
There are drives. A lot of times I think now they're around need. However, you don't even have to go to a drive to join the database.
Okay.
You can go straight to bethematch.org website and look for join and register, and they'll send you the kit. But there are drives in some cases just for a more immediate need to try to get as many donors as they possibly can.
So I never heard of it. It was just something new to me until I was talking to Ann, and she was so excited in order to meet you. And so it was one of those things where we're always looking for ways to help. And one of the things Ann told me is that in the African American community, we aren't in the database much, right? And is that because we don't know about it, or what?
African Americans are the lower percentage of individuals that are in the database, and I think a lot of it is just lack of awareness. And the second thing is knowing the difference between a surgical bone marrow extraction versus stem cell donation. The amount of time, who pays for it, all those questions come up. It's actually the recipient's insurance that pays for it. Be the match covers if there's travel or anything else involved. But I think just raising awareness is the biggest thing, and the importance. The more people that join the database, because genetics are involved, the greater the percent of someone finding a match. So we need more and more people joining, and also being committed to follow through if they're actually matched to someone who's in need, because it's usually an immediate need.
So one of the things I thought about is if you are a person who is already an organ donor on your driver's license, how about being a live donor, somebody who can do something while you're still living and understand that you will be helping someone in need? And as Ann said, it was years before before a match came. So you may be a match or you may not. But the idea is to be in the database in order to help someone have a better quality of life and have hope in their life in doing this. So we talked about who pays, we talked about how much time it is, and ethnicity really doesn't matter, right, when it gets down to DNA. It's being in a match, or it doesn't matter.
Well, the genetics of an ethnicity, so it doesn't necessarily mean there won't be a match otherwise, but the more people of the same ethnicity, because of the genetics in that ethnicity, it can make a difference. Okay. So just join as many people as possible, and that's what it really comes down to.
Yes. So what I'm asking you, what Ann's asking you, what Georgia's asking you, is to go to bethematch.org and just investigate it. And if you feel called, it's the swab on this side of the cheek. You're spitting in a thing to do DNA, so do the swab on the inside of the cheek and see if somewhere along the line you could be a blessing to someone in need. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before we close up?
Of course, Miss Beverly. I just wanted to thank Ann. First, I wanted to thank God for just the opportunity of you saying yes to me and being my match. And I'm so grateful to that. And because she did, I'm here today.
Yes.
3 years. Over 3 years in remission.
Yes.
And I'm here today, and I met her, and now she's my soul sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm
Absolutely.
so grateful.
So our
Yes.
purpose in having this conversation is to encourage people to please register. You just
Yes, please
too
do.
often we don't pay attention to things until we need it or someone in our family needs it. And now's a good time to just be there for whoever needs it if you could possibly help them.
Amen.
All right. Well, thank you again for watching, and take action by going to bethematch.org. Well, thank you for listening today. And please go to bethematch.org. If you have organizations such as your church or sorority or whatever kind of group that you have, you can always start a drive to get people into the database. Thank you for listening today. Please share the link to this show with your friends and family so that they can learn how to be the best that they can be. Visit my website at commandingyourlife.com and follow me on Facebook. Have any suggestions for the show? Just contact me by emailing Beverly at commandingyourlife.com. Be sure to join me on the next episode. As you have believed, let it be done to you, and it is so.